Hi everyone, my name is Kat Mansouri, and in this series, my goal is to teach you languages in a fun, entertaining, and hopefully very easy to understand way. I've been teaching languages for almost a decade, and myself, I'm a polyglot. So what does that mean? It means I speak more than 5 languages fluently. I speak English, French, Spanish, Italian, and Farsi fluently, and then just for fun, I've also learned a bit of Portuguese and a bit of German. So my journey throughout languages my whole life has meant I've encountered many students just like you who are interested in language learning but find it too difficult, find themselves too old, or incapable of doing it. And I just want to share that that's not true. In this series, I'm going to explore Montreal, one of Canada's most historic and beautiful cities, with you as we learn new French vocabulary and I show you just how easy the process can be. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Today we're in the Old Port, one of Montreal's most historic districts, and we can explore some amazing food, delicious cafes, and really beautiful boutiques and art galleries. So, let's go! Bonjour! Bienvenue à l'Espace Pépin. Bienvenue à l'Espace Pépin means welcome to Espace Pépin. This is a designer clothing boutique found in the Old Port area. This area is highly concentrated in creative talent, whether it's fine dining, gastronomy, or whether it's beautiful clothes and art galleries that blow your mind. This area is really concentrated in upscale, elevated art. So let's check out some of the beautiful clothes in Espace Pépin. Bonjour! So that was a really great trip to Espace Pépin. I loved what I picked up, and we're going to go inside, or dans, the gallery behind me. This gallery is a contemporary gallery, but there's all kinds of art on Rue Saint-Paul, or St. Paul Street, which is where we are. So I'm excited. Let's go have a look. So if you're from Quebec or Canada, you would know this, but if you're not from Canada, you might not know that the best maple syrup is actually this one right here. So it's so iconic that I guess this artist made art out of it. So you can tell which one the best one is it says pure maple syrup on it, and it has a picture of a farm and some trees, and I guess this artist felt the need to even turn it into pop art. So just like Andy Warhol and his iconic Marilyn Monroe's, here we have an iconic maple syrup by a Canadian artist. So I love this piece of art, and actually something that I think is wonderful and characteristic of French is the use of adjectives. In French, something isn't just great, it's magnificent. Or you wouldn't call this piece of art good, you would say it's extraordinaire. So yeah, I think it's really, really cool. Corporate sludge. Oh wow, I didn't even see this dessin before, this drawing. That's so cool. Now here we see the famous maple syrup that you absolutely need to try if you're ever in Quebec. I think, however, my favorite or my favori is this one right here. I mean, we all knew that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a badass, but so I don't know if you can see the little man in this photo, but this is a miniature of a man. So he's so teeny tiny. You might not be able to find him. And the word in French for man is homme. So a fun fact about French is that they actually don't say the letter H like we do in English. So you'll notice if French speakers speak English, they often skip the letter H. So instead of how are you, they might say how are you, things like that. But they still have words that have the letter H in them. And one of the words that has the letter H, even though we don't say it, is the word for man, which is homme. So you can see the little that you can barely see. So he's kind of like that letter H. He's there, but he's not there. I think we're ready to go. I'm starting to work up an appetite. I don't know about you, but let's go see what else we can find on Rue Saint-Paul or in the Old Port. Montreal, or l'île de Montréal, because it is an island after all, is packed with creatives of all kinds. And here we are in a home goods boutique where we're seeing the highest quality goods that you can get for your home using Canadian materials. So I wish you guys could feel this, but everything from the lamps to the ceramics to the blankets are incredibly high quality. And we have such an array to choose from. In fact, we have this yellow blanket, and I thought I'd point it out because that's our J word, so jaune for yellow. And we also have khaki, or kaki in French. A lot of the letters in French are actually similar to in English. They're just more, I feel, articulated in the mouth. So don't worry, at the end of the episode, we'll have a recap of all the letters of the alphabet and all the words we learned in this episode. But yes, so we have jaune, kaki. And another really important fact to learn about French is that it's a gendered language. So what does that mean? It means inanimate objects as well as animate objects actually get gender. So in English, if something is not alive, you don't give it a gender, right? You wouldn't say the pillow is a man or the pillow is a woman. However, in Romance languages, like French, like Spanish, like Italian, anything that isn't alive also gets a gender. And this is something that confuses a lot of people who are learning. But there's no need to be confused. It's really just a process of memorization. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It just is the gender that it is. So for example, if I wanted to say the pillow, I would say le coussin. Le means it's masculine. It's basically saying the. If I wanted to say the lamp, I would say la lampe. La means it's feminine. And they both mean the. So le coussin, la lampe. But in this case, one is masculine, one's feminine, and neither is alive. So I think I'm starting to get hungry, or moi, as we say for me, moi, I'm hungry, so let's go get a poutine or find something to eat in the area. So I've worked up quite the appetite, and I hope you have too, because we're going to get some poutine now. Poutine is a local dish to Quebec where you combine cheese curds from the region with gravy and French fries. It is a very indulgent treat, let's say, and definitely worth it on a chilly fall day. So I'm going to go have some in this bistro that we found in Rue Le Moine. So we are on Rue Le Moine, or Le Moine Street. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how good their poutine is. Welcome to our first lesson together. My name's Kat, if you're new to this channel. If you are new, I do recommend you go in the cards to pick up the lessons that led up to this one. So this is a language learning journey where I hope to make language learning fun, easy, and accessible for anybody. Languages can transform your whole life and give you an education to open up your whole world. You can make new friends, meet a partner, secure a career that you've been dreaming about, or make more money doing what you love if you speak the right language. So if you speak multiple, well, the world is your oyster. So I hope to share this knowledge with you. And so if you are just starting out your journey and you haven't seen the first 2 episodes that led up to this one, check those out. But otherwise, in this lesson, we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about a concept called segmentation. So what is segmentation? Segmentation is the idea that when you don't know a language, listening to it feels like you're listening to a giant big blob or just a wall of words, right? So for example, if you're hearing a language you don't know, it just sounds like there's no start or finish to it. You can't segment it. So what segmentation means is breaking up a language. This is the first step to learning any language because once we know how the rhythm of the language is, once we know where the words start, where the words stop, once we know the alphabet, then we can start to pick things up. We can start to break it apart, to segment it, to understand it, and build the fundamental building blocks to make our goal come true. So to segment French, we need to familiarize ourselves with French sounds. And so the French sounds can be found in the alphabet, and luckily for you guys, the French alphabet is actually quite similar to the English one. So there's 26 letters, so A, B, C, D, all the way to Z, or Z if you're American. And also French features accents. So there are things like the accents that we're going to cover in today's lesson. So in this episode, I went through some letters of the alphabet, and so we're going to cover those more in depth in today's lesson. And we'll also talk about accents and about masculine and feminine and singular and plural and how to figure those out in French. So let's get into it. So French has 26 letters, just like English. And while we say the letters, I want you to think of the word bae. Yes, bae, like the slang word that we use in English to mean something or someone is likable, right? That is a very great word to keep in mind because that's the sound in most of the letters of the French alphabet. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, because there's two V's, X, Y, and Z. So let's break that down a little bit. So any alphabet is broken up into vowels and consonants. Vowels are the open sounds. So we need both of them because that's how we make words in any language. So we need hard sounds and we need open sounds to balance each other out. So vowels are the open ones. So A, E, I, O, U. There's virtually no blocking. If you notice, like all the sounds, like I might shape them with my mouth, but I'm not like stopping them anywhere. Whereas consonants always kind of get blocked or stopped in some way. So we might say like T, right? T, t, or B, or D, or things like that. So consonants are the hard sounds and vowels are the open sounds. And in French, vowels also feature accents. So A, E, I, O, U, you can put accents on them. And there's 4 kinds of accents in French. So the first one is accent aigu. Accent aigu is an accent that you can put on certain vowels to make them sharp. E especially. So, for example, instead of which is the letter, if you put an accent on it, it becomes A, right? Like maybe you saw someone you haven't seen in a long time, you're like, hey, it's nice to see you. Or, hey, what was that? It's the same like hey, that's in the word hey, is the accent sound in A. So, for example, we have accent aigu, right? When it has the accent aigu on it. Accent aigu sounds like école, étoile, équipe, et. Okay? Then we have accent grave. Accent grave is an accent that does the opposite effect. So rather than make a sound sharp, it makes it more flat. So when I teach kids, I refer to accent grave as like the lazy brother of accent aigu, right? Accent aigu is the life of the party. He's like, hey, what's up, guys? And then accent grave is more, like that. He's like, I don't want to go out, So, for example, instead of, for the word for mother, it's mère, mère. Or the word for father, père. Or the word for brother, frère, So that's a good way to think about it. So one makes the sound more sharp, the other one makes the sound more flat. Then we also have tréma. So tréma is the 2 little dots, which is called umlaut in German and some languages. And in French, tréma is used to separate 2 vowels that are next to each other. So we'll learn that often in French, when 2 vowels are next to each other, they just kind of merge. But when you see a tréma, it means you have to say them separately. So, for example, in the word beef in French, we say bœuf. And it sounds like one sound, right? Bœuf, like bœuf bourguignon. Bœuf, bœuf, côte de bœuf, whatever. If you put the umlaut or the tréma on it, it becomes the O and it becomes the E separately. So, for example, the word for Christmas, Noël, Noël. We say the O and then we say the E. It's not all mixed together like in bœuf. And last but not least, we have cédille. So cédille is the little circle at the bottom of C's that you see sometimes, like in the word français. And we use that to turn C's into S's. So when there's no cédille, it's a regular C and it acts like a regular C. But if you ever see that little cédille on it, it becomes an S sound. So for example, français has it because we want to say français. If we didn't have it, technically that word would be read like franquais, which doesn't sound consistent with the word France, for example. So these are the accents in French. That's the alphabet in French. I hope you've enjoyed our first lesson. And be sure to sign up to the newsletter to get your homework and your exercises for the week. One of the key things when you're starting your language learning journey is to listen to the language. So in this week's episode, not only are you encouraged in your homework to listen to the alphabet and to practice it on your own, but to pick up some listening resources that you're going to commit to for your whole journey. So we're going to have some pro tips on that in the newsletter, and I really invite you to think about finding a podcast, finding a TV show, or something that you can commit to for the next few weeks. So stay tuned, merci beaucoup, and I'll see you next time. À bientôt, bye!